Some light on what will take place in the meeting. Jack, a very good afternoon to you. Now, the EU ministers' meeting must really allude to just how serious the migrant crisis is. What is the main objectives of this meeting, Jack? Can you tell us?
The meeting is to try and discuss a quota system. The EU's policy of trying to tackle this refugee crisis is to try to distribute 120 additional places for asylum seekers, which will make the total 160 because they already agreed to 40,000, to spread these asylum seekers across the 28 EU member states based on each country's GDP and population and how many asylum seekers they already have. But there's a lot of opposition to this plan. You'll have to excuse me, there's some building being done around here.
All right.
There's a lot of opposition to the plan. Mean that more people try and make their way into the European Union, and countries like Ireland, Denmark and the United Kingdom, they have the opportunity to opt out of it. In addition to this, they're also trying to impose a list of safe countries like Kosovo and Albania, essentially to say that those countries, the people coming from those countries, are more likely to be economic migrants and not refugees fleeing from conflict and poverty in Syria, Iraq, Eritrea, Somalia, etc.
And that's a very interesting point you raised there, Jack. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism around the world about how the refugees or so-called migrants are treated when they arrive to seek refuge in these countries. It's quite shocking. Now, do you think such issues are going to be raised at this meeting?
Certainly, it's very important for the European Union. Now, bearing in mind that this meeting is being held in the backdrop, as we just saw in the package there, of closed borders between countries like Germany and Austria. That is something that the European Union would never, ever want to see. The border-free zone, the Schengen zone within the European Union, is of incredible importance to people here in Europe. The free movement of goods and services and peoples is essential in the kind of philosophical makeup of what happens here in the European Union. So it's a very difficult position, but the problem is that so many refugees are entering, and there's a lot of lack of clarity about whether these people are economic migrants moving into the European Union in order to gain a better life, a better economic position, or whether they are really fleeing conflict and poverty. Most of them, as we record here, as are being recorded, are from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Eritrea and Somalia, Nigeria as well. So many countries that are suffering, and the people leaving are persecuted.
Look, Jack, let's expand on that note. We know that some countries have resolved to tightening border security with neighboring refugee towns or points of entry. Tell us more about that. Many feel that this is rather inhumane.
Indeed, that's the argument. Closing the borders, the Germans and the Austrians are unlikely to be called inhumane. What they're trying to do is to register and ensure that they know where the asylum seekers are coming in and where they're going. Otherwise, it could get really out of control. The main criticism is to countries like Hungary. Hungary has erected a 175-kilometre razor wire fence on their border with Serbia, which is where many of the refugees are entering the EU's external border. And Hungary's come under a lot of criticism for that. They're also saying that the asylum centres in Hungary, where many of the people are being processed, are essentially caged, and that some of these people are being treated like animals and fed through bars. Now, it's difficult to kind of corroborate those reports, but if that's the case, it will be in contravention of human rights laws, and that will cause Hungary to come under even more criticism for their dealing in the refugee crisis than they already are under at the moment.
Look, Jack, you mentioned Germany very interestingly earlier on. Now, it was at one stage applauded for its boldness to allow thousands of refugees in, but now seems to have had a change of heart. What do you think prompted that?
The change of heart has essentially come from the extreme numbers that Germany is seeing. Most of the refugees, they want to reach Germany. They believe that is the best place and that's where their life will be best. Germany is expecting 800,000 asylum requests this year, but in the city of Munich, apparently 13,000 people arrived within a day. That's a lot of people, and it's a very difficult number of people to control. So closing the borders isn't necessarily about stopping letting people in, it's about registering people as they come through. And I think maybe the German gusto to accept the refugees, but potentially some are feeling that might have been slightly misguided originally. Although their sentiment is for the refugees and they want to accept them and give safe harbour to people fleeing conflict, they now seem to be coming round to the idea that they're going to have to put some controls in to know where people are going.
All right, now, thank you so much, Jack. We'll definitely get in touch with you once that meeting of interior ministers has taken place. That was Jack Parrick, SABC reporter in Brussels, and he joined us via Skype to tell us about what resolutions will be